everybody, and welcome to the first video of what I hope will be a semi-comprehensive documentation of my experience with Code Crew Code School. So we were asked to create this kind of intro vlog to talk about some of our thoughts about the programs, what we hope to gain, and things like that. And before we jump into it, I want to just do a brief introduction of myself and of the program. So my name is Autumn. I'm 20 years old, and I studied architecture for a little over 2 years before I withdrew from the program. And after I withdrew, I stumbled upon Code Crew Code School, when I was trying to figure out the next steps for my life, basically. And Code Crew Code School is a Memphis-based coding bootcamp, which means that it's short and it's intense. So after 6 months, of going to class every day, 9 to 5, we're equipped with the skills to code in several different languages. We've got some soft skills like interview skills and how to put together a resume and things like that. And we've also got some connections, like all over the Memphis area. That's what really drew me into the program. So on that note, let's kind of hop into my initial thoughts about the program. So, like I said, I was really excited about the job placement aspect of this program, basically. But once I got myself into this situation, I kind of learned a little bit more about coding, learned a little bit more about Code Crew in particular, and kind of developed some impressions. I was incredibly nervous about this program. I have very little knowledge of coding, and that scared me a little bit because I didn't quite know what I was getting myself into. But after learning more about coding, even on a surface level, and doing some of the assignments that we were given, which I'll talk about a little bit later, I started to really like coding. And I actually attended a graduation of the very first class from this Code Crew Bootcamp, and that graduation really sort of solidified the positive impressions that I had about the program. Just seeing the work that the students produced, the huge amount of support that they had, and also talking with them and learning about some of the opportunities that they were going to have after this program was over really, reassured me that I had made the right decision. After going to that graduation and feeling really good about what I decided to do, I started to think about what I was hoping to gain from the program. And like I said, I studied design for a little over 2 years, and I still have a very strong passion for design. So once this is all said and done, I'd really like to find a career where I could combine design and coding, kind of get that overlap. And after some brief research, it seems like that's really doable, probably working a little bit in front end and a little bit in back end. And I'm really looking forward to that, especially knowing that Code Crew is working on building some connections specifically in that arena. So I'm really looking forward to the ability to kind of continue my passion for design and combine that with some of the hard skills that I'll be learning over the next 6 months. So before we get to that point, though, I do have to go through 6 months of class. And we got a little taste of what that class is going to be like with some pre-work assignments. And we were asked to give 3 kind of takeaways. And so the first one, and the one that I think is most important, is that the smallest thing can just wreck your code. So paying attention to detail and keeping a really close eye on syntax is really important. So just keeping an eye out on small, really easy, fixable things was one of the most important things that I ran across, and that's dealing with little bitty chunks of code. Imagine that in large chunks, having to comb back through and find those issues is not going to be as easy and simple as combing through 4 or 5 lines. So I think that's something to keep in mind, for me at least. Something else was that there's a lot to remember. There's a lot of abbreviations and rules and syntax to keep in mind, but most of it can be reasoned out pretty well. Even if you forget something, a lot of times it's pretty easy to reason your way back into it, which was really good. for me, because I have a terrible memory. And so knowing that I could just kind of work my way to the answer was really useful. And the last thing, which relates to the first two pretty strongly, is just that trial and error can be really useful. And like I said, we're working with small pieces of code, and I'm sure this method will not apply to larger chunks. But a lot of times, if I got frustrated with something, I would just try 3 or 4 things back to back, and usually one of those 3 or 4 was the answer. So resorting to trial and error was a really useful tactic for me, especially as I'm starting out and kind of getting my footing. Also Google. I ended up Googling quite a few things, and it's very accessible knowledge. But I think that's going to be it for this first video. I'm going to try to upload these videos semi-regularly, just so that I can look back at them, or, you know, other people who are considering coding boot camps or that are in coding boot camps, or people in my class even, can kind of refer to these videos just to watch somebody else do it and be reassured, hopefully. So I'll keep you updated.